This is Alice from the Disability Rights Fund. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Inclusion 101 webinar series. I will be turning it over to Kerry Thompson, our Senior Officer of Communications, Inclusion, and Analytics, to do the webinar. So if you have any comments, she will tell you how to do that. So Kerry, over to you.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, everyone. And a warm welcome to everyone for joining today for the Inclusion 101 webinar series, a how-to on inclusive and accessible communication. And before we begin, I just want to give you a couple of accessibility features. So the first thing is we have International Sign Interpreter. We have a team that we will be rotating every 15 minutes. If you need the international interpreter and you want to make the video larger, just click the video and then the 3 dots and pin the video. That will make it larger. The second thing is we have captioning. So if you click the closed caption icon at the bottom right of your screen, you should be able to see closed captions. If you need to see the direct cut link, it should be in the chat so that if you would like to follow the captioning on Stream Tech, where you can customize the caption to your preferences. Then we are also using a PowerPoint. If you need an accessible version of my PowerPoint slides, please email at info@disabilityrightsfund.org. Q&A, we will save 10 minutes for questions at the very end. So if you have any question, please put it in the Q&A, not the chat, but the Q&A. And we want to ensure that everyone has access to information. I hope to impart to you my knowledge and expertise gained from my last 12 years at Disability Rights Fund and Disability Rights Advocacy Fund. It's also a personal mission for me to have inclusion and access for people with disabilities as a person who is deafblind myself. When I am wearing my communication hat, I am asking a few questions. And first, let me run through a couple more slides. So I have Eileen in the background helping me run the slide. So Eileen, can you go to the first slide? This slide also shows the kite link if you need the kite link. Again, it's in the chat feature. The next slide. So this is going to be an overview, but first I want to say that when I am wearing my communication hat, I ask the following question. Who is the organization's audience? What does the organization want to say? Is this accessible to all people with disabilities? Is this accessible to people with disabilities outside the United States? So one question I never ask, can my organization afford the accessibility cost? I never ask this question because how can we afford not to? The great thing about most social media platforms is that they are free. And also because most of these social media platforms were started in the United States, they also have to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, which means that they have to provide accessibility features. The problem is that they do not always tell you how to do that, and that's the point for today. So this is an overview of what I'm going to be talking about. This particular webinar, the first of 3, is going to be focusing on accessible and inclusive social media and websites. The question we're going to be thinking about is why access to social media matters. Second, understanding the role we play in achieving this. Third, what are some of the accessibility tools? Fourth, website accessibility 101. Fifth, breaking down alt text. The step to accessible tweets, posts, and Instagram. Next slide, please. So are you guys ready for the inclusion, hashtag inclusion series, heart emojis? So social media, why does it matter? Why it matters to society, why it matters for people with disabilities, and how you play a role. So first, why social media matters to society? The question is, why should accessible and inclusive social media matter to society? For the same reason that social media in general matter to society. It's the way to engage, to connect, to share our thoughts. It's the vehicle for free speech and highlighting injustice, to share critical information, and to provide us with entertainment and amusement. Who does not love videos of puppies? So why does accessible social media matter for your organization? One, people with disability are part of society. Two, access to information is a disability right and a human right. It is covered by the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities under Article 9, is under Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Furthermore, in the United States, is the law according to the ADA, which covers digital space as public space. The third reason why this should matter to your organization is the right thing to do. So your role. Some organizations may have a point person on their team for all things related to accessibility, which is a good thing. But for an organization to achieve true inclusion, everyone on the team needs to understand how to do inclusive and accessible social media, because it needs to be a team effort. For example, I may be the one posting on social media for DIF, but my team members also need to know how to do this as they post individually on their social media. Also, creating accessible social media should not just be part of your job, it should be part of your life. You shouldn't only be posting inclusive and social media posts just because you have to do it for your job. So in your personal life, I hope that you will also be posting accessible social media posts, because I hope you count among your friends people with disabilities. One more point. If the disability rights movement wants to be more inclusive and diverse, disability-specific organizations need to consider the needs of other disability groups. For example, organizations of the deaf should also be making their information accessible for those who are visually impaired, and vice versa. Those that experience the most communication and digital barriers are those who are deaf, those who are blind, those who are deafblind, and those with intellectual disabilities. Next slide, please. We're going to do an interpreter switch, which I plan to do on the every 15 minutes. And now we will have, again, now that we're using a new interpreter, we want to repin the video for the new interpreter. So on this slide, which is accessibility tools, I list several things that help people with disabilities access information. They include sign language interpreters, easy read, plain language format, screen readers, Braille, large print, Braille display, which is an electronic way of reading Braille, captioning or code. And then we also have a number of accessibility features that are built into smartphones. So I highly recommend looking at some of those accessibility features that are in your smartphone. There are a number of apps that are very helpful for people with visual impairments and those who are deaf. Next slide, please. So now we are going to talk about how do we make website accessible. When a website is designed, it should incorporate the WCAG, which is Website Content Accessibility Guideline. And there's the website link to learn more information about that. On the right side, you see a toolbar, and that is a screenshot of a toolbar from Disability Rights Fund's website. And I do like toolbars because they help make accessibility features more visible for people with disabilities who may not know what shortcuts are. The one thing I want to say about toolbars is that if you think that adding a toolbar is step one, it's not. It should be step two. All web developers are supposed to follow the accessibility guidelines, and that means that they have to design the entire website to be accessible. Adding the accessibility toolbar does not make the website accessible. So that's supposed to be step two. The reason why I like the toolbar is because one way, if you look at my video, I'm going to show you my iPad. And this is what I'm using as color inversion. And this is how I'm following the caption on a separate device. And I'm using color inversion. For me, the steps to create color inversion in a Mac laptop is to click the Apple logo, click System Preference, click Accessibility, click Display, check the box for invert colors. That's a lot of steps, and not everyone knows that these steps exist. So having this option of a toolbar, making it very visible for somebody to learn how they can just click for a contrast, that they can click the toolbar to increase their size. Again, not everyone may know how to increase and decrease their view. So another tool that I use as a person with a visual impairment is I click Command key and the plus key if I want to increase the size of my page. You can also do Command key and the minus sign to make your web page smaller. So color inversion and zooming in are both tools I use, and I want to make sure that everyone has the option to do so. Now, I want to talk about something else on the website. I'm going to now talk to you about describing images, and there are three ways to describe images. They are the alternative text, they are captions, and they are description. Next slide, please.
The interpreter's image appears to be missing.
For an image on a website, I think we went one slide too far. Can you go back one slide, please? Yes, thank you. So this is a screenshot of what happens when I upload a photo to the website portal, and I'm in the edit version. So on the right side, you can see what I see as a web editor. There are several options for how I can include information about this picture. There is the caption. The caption is what will show up at the bottom of your picture on the website view that everyone can see. It is not something that a screen reader can read, but captions look nice and they are informative to the general public. Alt text is what we're going to be talking a lot about. Alt text is what will be encoded into the picture to make it accessible for screen readers. The third way is description. Description is also encoded, but it's more detailed than alt text. Next slide, please. The same picture you saw is now on the web page itself, and the picture on the right side shows the caption at the very bottom. So now you can see what I mean by caption. Again, the screen reader does not read the caption. The only thing you need to do for a photo is to always make sure you do alt text. caption and description are important, but alt text should always be given top priority. Alt text has a universal benefit, not just for people with visual impairment, but it also means that for search engine, when you add specific keywords into the alt text, it will pop up in the search engine. So for this photo that shows Disability Rights Fund standing in a circle with Global Advisory Panel member, the keyword is Global Advisory Panel. When I put that in the alt text, Global Advisory Panel is what will often pop up in the search engine. So this is just a little tip that alt text has a universal benefit, not just for people with disability, but for your organization and popping up on search engine on the internet. Next slide. These are the 5 tips for writing a good alt text. First, describe the image as specifically as possible. 2, keep it short. The most popular screen readers cut off alt text at around 125 characters, so it's advisable to keep it to about 125. Also, most social media platforms will cut off alt text around 100 characters, so keep that in mind. The third tip, use your keywords. Alt text provides you with an opportunity to share more about your organization. So as again, repeating what I said earlier, so Global Advisory Panel was a keyword for my organization, and I put that within the alt text. The fourth tip is don't say image of or picture of. A screen reader already knows that it is an image. Save those words to give more words for other meaning. 5, don't neglect form buttons. So if there's a button on your website that says click here, learn here, or apply here, or learn more, those should also include an alt text. Next slide, please. Now we're going to be diving into creating accessible social media. DRF uses a number of different social media platforms, but for today, I'm just going to focus on these 3, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Disability Rights Fund is not on Instagram yet, but I will share tips from how to use Instagram from my own personal experience. The next slide, please. Now we're going to talk about social media best practices. These best practices typically work for all social media platforms. First, when you include a hyperlink, indicate whether it leads to an audio or a video, because sometimes some videos may not be suitable for viewing at work. Or perhaps it's a video clip of your friend's kid singing happy birthday, and maybe you don't want the people around you to know that that video is singing happy birthday. 2, use a URL shortener to minimize the number of characters in the hyperlink. When I share a post on any social media platform, when I copy and paste the website link, I wait for the preview to come up, and that means that the website has been captured, and I delete the actual website page link, and then I go ahead and just write the post. I do use a URL shortener if I want to share a link to a document, and I save the URL at the very end of the post. 3, save hashtags for the end of a post. 4, capitalize the first letter of each word in a hashtag, which is called camelbacking. And the sign for camel is the letter C, and it goes up and down in a hill. So it makes sense for when you do a hashtag with multiple letters that you do it so it's saying hashtag Disability Rights Fund, The D and the R and the F are capitalized. Okay, next slide, please. A few more tips. Fifth, tagging. When you tag people in your photo, and of course only do this with their permission, but when you tag photo, that means that screen readers can also read who is in the photo. So if you need to save on how much is in your character limit, you can also make sure that tagging is another way to tell people who is in the photo. Six, do not use the color background option in Facebook, because what it does is default the image into an image, and that's not readable by a screen reader. 7, avoid using acronyms. 8, use image and video description. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes. 9, another social media practice, and one of the most important, is to use alt text. And the 10th tip for social media best practice is save the emojis until the end. I cannot emphasize this point enough. Emojis do have alt text built in. And here is an example of a text that a person using a screen reader might hear. Okay, so this is what a screen reader will read. Wishing you a prosperous new year. Excited face with money symbols for eyes and stuck out tongue. Excited face with money symbols for eyes and stuck out tongue. Excited face with money symbol for eyes and stuck out tongue. Excited face with money symbol for eyes and stuck out tongue. You guys free tonight? Give me a call. So it's amazing how so much was said and yet so little of it had a point. And the woman who received this text message said she never did call her friend because she never got all the way to the end of that message. So save emojis to the very end. Happy face, happy face. Next slide, please. Right here, let's do an interpreter switch again. Great. Repin the video if you need to. So now we are diving into Twitter. Twitter has a variety of accessibility features. Of the various media platforms, Twitter is the only one that when you go to their website and look at their menu options or settings, it has a sub-menu option for accessibility. Most other platforms have accessibility features built in, but they don't tell you how to do it. They don't make it public information, which strikes me as odd, as if they're trying to keep you from using it. So if you have your phone ready or your computer, you can go ahead to twitter.com as I go through these steps. Twitter has the ability to add alt text to images in a tweet, but you have to go to your setting to turn the features on. To do that, you navigate to More, then Settings, then Accessibilities, and then turn on Compose Image Description. You'll need to turn on the Compose Image Description setting. So now when you post a picture, you'll see an option to add a description. So next slide. This is a dashboard view from Twitter. So you can see the first column at the bottom, it says More, then it says Settings in the second column. And then in the third, it says Accessibility. And then you can see where it says to compose description. And you check that box off. Next slide. This is a screenshot of Twitter dashboard. Now I just uploaded a photo of 1 in 5 publication that Disability Rights Fund uses with 5 women in across the picture. So here, after I've uploaded the photo, you can see to the bottom right, well, to the bottom left, it says the option to tag people. And then to the bottom right is the option to add a description. Select that. Now you go to the next slide. Now this is a screenshot of what happened when you click the option to add description. And remember, the add description option on the previous slide only shows up if you enable that feature back in your setting. So here you go ahead and you type in your description. What you type in description is only readable by those using a screen reader. It's not information that's going to be viewable by the general public. Okay, next slide. So this is, now we're going to be talking about image description. And just a point that this is talking about image description, not specifically alt text. So I want to give you some more tips about writing, what to write in alt text and what to include in image description. So it's important that you ask the question, where is the photo being taken? Who is in the photo? What are they doing? Now this, on the right side of the slide, is an image of me standing with Governor Baker. Next slide, please. So the image description itself says, Kerry, a white woman with long brown hair, wearing a blue dress and holding a white cane, stands next to Governor Baker, who is wearing a suit. They stand next to the grand staircase at Massachusetts State House. Now this is an example of image description. This is 172 characters. It's not ideal for alt text, which should be around 100 characters. But it does work for if you are posting an image description within Facebook posts or Instagram posts. Now, the thing that I want to say about inclusive information is that Facebook and Instagram automatically have alt text is generated through a robot. But how that alt text works is that it's looking for identifying objects within the picture. So this picture of myself with Governor Baker is going to say to a screen reader, man, woman, steps. It's not going to tell you the story, and it defeats the whole purpose of why I was sharing this photo. I am trying to brag a little bit about standing next to the governor of Massachusetts. He's quite popular. Next slide. Okay. So now we're moving away to focus more on Facebook. So we're going to talk about Facebook, Instagram, and automatic generated alt text. Unlike Twitter, Facebook and Instagram have automatic generated alt text. Unlike Twitter, you do not have to enable the alt text feature and setting. And then I just gave you an example of an auto-generated alt text from the previous picture of man, woman, steps. It's important to use human-generated alt text. Next slide, please. So now we are working on a Facebook post. I've uploaded that picture of Governor Baker and myself in my post. And then when you upload that photo, you hover your mouse over the image, and when you do so, it shows you the option to tag people in the photo, which would be Kerry Thompson and Governor Baker. On the right side is a little bubble showing you a pencil. When you click the pencil is the way to edit the photo, and that's where we go for alt text. So we click the pencil. And now, next slide, please. So when you click the little pencil, you'll have the option to add alt text into this image. So do that, and then you should be all set. For LinkedIn and Instagram, the steps happen to be the same. So pretty much when you upload a photo, you select the edit photo option, and then that will take you to the alt text where you can add your description. Now, so far, I have been talking about accessibility for those who are visually impaired, but social media can and should be a tool to make information accessible for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. So let me mention about videos on Facebook and Instagram. Facebook allows you to add caption to your Facebook videos. After you upload your video, Facebook will let you know when your video is ready. You just go to Edit Video and select to upload a .srt file, which is a caption file. This is something you can create yourself. Now, sometimes this step is a little too complicated for some people, so a good workaround is to add your video to YouTube first, which is also free. And YouTube will automatically generate the caption for your video. And it's so much easier. If the caption isn't perfect, it's also really easy to edit those captions. And so then you can share that video link from YouTube into your Facebook. Now, Instagram does not offer any caption option, even for like Instagram Story and Instagram TV. So, okay, next slide. Okay, so now the question at the top of this picture says, do all people with visual impairments use alt text? No. And that's why I've been talking about alt text and image description. So for comparison's sake, we are looking at two side-by-side photos from the City Hall of New York City. On the left is their tweet of a photo of the New York skyline. There is no image description within their post. And then, but at the bottom of the picture, there's a notation for us. And this is not part of their text. This is part of their demonstrating of how they make their post accessible. So they have a note underneath that they said that description is added in the alt text and it's invisible. So remember what I said, when you add your description to alt text for Twitter, the description is invisible. Now on the right side is an example of the same picture for Facebook and Twitter. And they have their post. And then they include a description of what's in the picture. I always write an image description for Facebook and Instagram. I am not always consistent about editing photos to add the alt text and code into the photo, but that's because a screen reader can read the image description, and you can use the same language for an image description and alt text. So for example, perhaps that Facebook image description, I copy that and then I paste that exact same language into the edit photo feature for alt text. And it's okay to do that, but just keep in mind that Facebook tend to limit at 100 characters for describing an image. So again, that's the reason why I like to do the image description outside of alt text and put it within the Facebook and Instagram post. Now, some people ask me, what do people with visual impairments prefer in terms of social media? Some like Twitter because it's short. Others like Facebook because it uses more clear language. Personally, for myself, I like Facebook more than I like Twitter. Twitter, I don't always understand, like it's a little challenging for my eyes to read all the emojis and hashtags. So Facebook is just a little bit more clear to me. It's probably because I'm not part of the millennial generation. Okay. So next slide. So now I have an image and what an automatic generated alt text would say of this image. People, large crowd. What's in this image, according to what I see, is young protesters gather, some holding signs. At the center is a young Black woman holding her fist up, and this is 100 characters. Alt text needs to be subjective, and the person writing the alt text needs to know the right language for describing people with disability. For example, if there was an image of someone with a physical disability, a person writing an alt text should not use terms such as cripple. Social media can capture the heart, soul, and the emotions of human beings. I want you all to look at social media differently. What do you see? What do you hear? Now, can others hear and see what you do? Everyone has a story, a perspective. It's important that society remembers that people with disabilities have a story, that we have a perspective, and we also want to know your story and your perspective. So thank you. This wraps up my portion for today. I do want to invite everyone to join me for the next week's webinar, which is going to be about creating inclusive and accessible communication for people who are deafblind, like myself. And it's in honor of Global Deafblind Awareness Week next week. And the third webinar that I will be doing will be on creating inclusive and accessible virtual meeting. Right now, I want to give people an opportunity to ask questions. So please put your question in the Q&A icon at the bottom. And Alice will be reading through those questions and she's going to share that. And while we're waiting for you to put your question in, let's do another interpreter switch.
This is Alice. Thank you, Kerry, for the wonderful presentation. So I'll start reading the questions. We do have quite a few that have come in. So the first one is, what are form buttons? And I believe this has to do with websites.
The first is, so like if you have on your website, maybe like for example, you want to donate. So a website has on their donate page information about how to donate. And then there is a button. And the little button will say donate. And people are supposed to click the button. So that is what a form button is. Another example is if you have a website on the page that's talking about how to apply for a grant or how to apply for a job, then there's a button that will say, click here to apply. When you click that button to go to the next page, but the button is not readable by a screen reader, you have to add alt text into the form button.
Thank you, and this is Alice again. The next question is, could you tell us how to add alt text to a form button on different social media platforms?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the same as adding a photo. So when you are going to your website and if you are editing a page and the way you add a form button, usually it's adding the form button is a picture itself. So you edit that picture of your button and that's where you add the alt text.
Thank you. This is Alice again. So the next question is, the person says, I'm fascinated with the presentation. My concern is that oftentimes people who do for websites for us don't have any knowledge of inclusion. is it possible for you to compile some kind of guidelines and then share with DPOs to enable us to be more intentional on inclusion? And just for folks who need to know, DPOs, it stands for Disabled Persons Organizations. And then will you kindly share the PowerPoints with all attendees, please? That's the question.
Thank you. So I've been trying to think about how I'm going to capture the information from this presentation. And so what I will be doing for the Disability Rights Fund website, I will be adding a kind of a blog on Inclusion 101 webinars. I will highlight some of the messages that I've been telling you today. I will also include a link to this presentation, to this video. And then third, I will add the PowerPoint slides, and I will also include the transcript of the caption. So stay tuned.
Thank you. And this is Alice again. The next question, I believe I have it correct, is how can folks who are deaf-blind or deaf with low vision use accessible, friendly, disability-friendly apps for learning?
That is an excellent question for next week. Which is a reminder, next week we'll be focusing on communication for those who are deaf-blind.
This is Alice. Thank you again, Kerry. There was a question about, do image descriptions need to be in all caps? And is there a character limit?
No, image description and alt text do not need to be in all caps. I just did that for the presentation to help make it more clear what I was typing. And so I was sorry that I was kind of shouting at you with the all caps. But no, for image description, which is when you're writing it within a Facebook post or Instagram post, it does not need to have a limit, but just try not to go too long. And I think you want to be short. You want to be descriptive. Alt text is typically 100 characters. The number of characters for the image description I wrote of myself with Governor Baker was 172 characters. And as you can see, that included a lot of information. So I would say trying to limit no more than 200 characters in an image description.
Thank you. And this is Alice again. The next question is alt text available for mobile devices?
Yes, it is. So alt text, when you say, for example, if you were on your Facebook app on your phone, you open up the app and it's pretty much the same steps that I've already showed you. So you put in your post, you upload the photo from your phone, and then when you edit, you click edit over the picture, and then just go ahead and add the alt text. The same for Instagram. And Instagram, really the only way you can add posts is through your phone only. So Instagram, same thing. When you go ahead and start your Instagram post and you upload a photo, it will have an option for editing your photo. Click that and then go in and add the alt text.
This is Alice. Thank you again, Kerry. So the next question is, could you also give an example on the correct way to add link and then a description of the link?
Yes, so let me give an example. Okay, so recently for Disability Rights Fund on Facebook, I post about how Disability Rights Fund announces our letter of interest. And what I did for the post was give the basic information that Disability Rights Fund is announcing a letter of interest for 2020 round 2 and for Haiti and Uganda. And then I put the deadline. And then the very last thing I wrote within that post was to learn more information, go to the web page below. Now I didn't include the hyperlink within the post, but I introduce to learn more information, visit the web page below so people know that when they click the image below, it's supposed to be to the web page that adds more information. Now, here's the thing that sometimes we should be doing more, including myself, is that often when we do a preview of, like let me think, for the For Grant Seekers page, the preview of the picture that shows up at the bottom is of two women, one wearing glasses. I don't give you an image description of that because when you click the page and go to the page where the picture is, the picture there has the alt text. But I think now moving forward that what we should be doing when we're sharing our own website is, or sharing others' website, if there's a preview of the picture, we should be including the image description of that picture. Before, the standard was to only describe the images that you are posting up, you are uploading directly yourself. So now I think we should be including image description from the preview of websites.
This is Alice. Thank you. Next question has been answered already, but I think it would be good to cover again. And it is, will this recorded webinar be available online so I can share with my coworkers?
Yes, it will. And we are testing various ways of recording this. So what I want to do is go back and look at the recording to see how the captions work, how the audio works, and then decide which format will be the best one, because Zoom recordings are not always perfect. So I have a couple of other backup options, and I want to compare which one is the most accessible. And so keep visiting the disabilityrightsfund.org Inclusion 101 webinar page, which is where you went to register for this webinar. And there I will include information about where to find the recording and the webinar. We will probably send you an email also if you registered for this event. So give us a couple of days, probably by the end of this week, and that should all be shared before the next webinar.
Thank you. And this is Alice again. So is it possible to have a video showing how to use different accessibility tools on different platforms?
Is it possible to have a video showing how to use different accessibility tools on different platforms? It sounds to me like you're asking about a tutorial. So if you were to go to youtube.com and type in for the search option something like adding caption to Facebook, or type in adding alt text, and then say video tutorial. If you put in those keywords in the search, there are a lot of tutorials that explain that. I hope that was the right answer to the question, if I understood it correctly.
This is Alice. I believe that was the correct answer to the question. It just sounds like they were looking for tutorials or ways to, after the presentation, walk through step by step. So thank you. And the next question is, why should the alt text be shorter than the image description in terms of characters?
Because the alt text is something that a screen reader reads. Alt text on a screen reader will only read up to 125 characters. The most popular screen reader, like JAWS and VoiceOver, both of them. So if your alt text was at maybe 200 characters, your alt text for a screen reader will cut off at 100 and 125 characters. It won't read the entire alt text. So that's why when it's an alt text, when it's encoded into the photo, you keep it short. The image description, which is within the post, can be a little bit longer, so just no more than 200. So when, like I said before, that when I post on Facebook, I don't always have the alt text added to the photo. There, it's more important to add the image description. And image descriptions are important because not everyone with a visual impairment can use screen readers. So for myself, I alternate between screen readers, but I cannot hear a screen reader. I sometimes use screen reader caption. It's a little more complicated, and that's something I was going to cover next week. But I usually read on my computer the text in front of me. I have the options of color inversion and making text much larger. So I can read the image description that you posted within your post. If you only added alt text and no image description, I would not know what is in the picture.
Thank you. And this is Alice. And the next one is actually a comment and not a question. It says, if descriptions and alt text are in all caps, some screen readers will spell out the description. This makes understanding difficult for the blind. So it's best to write in regular sentence case as you would for typing out any sentence and not use caps.
Thank you for that point. And I really should edit my slideshow for that image description. I just typed in the I typed in all cap just to introduce that as something new, that I was trying to add an example of the image description, but it's correct that you should not be using all caps for alt text image description or anything in general.
Right, thank you. And this is Alice, and we've got two more questions, or a few more. So the next one is it necessary to use both image description and alt text together?
Remember, for Twitter, the only option you have is alt text. And I'm pretty sure that you will probably use up the 150 characters in your tweet, focusing on what you want to say about your general message. So there's no room for image description within your tweet. For Facebook and Instagram, I think it's good practice to do both. But for that, it's important that you do image description. So it seems to contradict what I said before. For a website, when you're uploading a photo, alt text is the #1 priority. For Facebook and Instagram, image description is the #1 priority. Across all those platforms, it's ideal to do both.
Thank you. And this is Alice. The next question is, can we still keep on asking questions through email after this webinar?
So yes, let me go to the next slide. Thank you. So on this page is a bunch of information about my email address, the Twitter platform and Instagram platform that I use my handle. And then below I have Disability Rights Fund and Disability Rights Advocacy Fund with their websites for the disabilityrightsfund.org. And for Disability Rights Advocacy Fund, the website is drafund.org. And for Twitter, our handle is Disability, DISABRIGHTSFUND. So as you notice, we did camel backing with the DRF. And then Facebook, we are at Disability Rights Fund. And so if you have questions, you can email me at ktompston@disabilityrightsfund.org.
Thank you. And this is Alice, and this looks like our final question. So will a screen reader read the image description along with the alt text? Or which is read first? Will repeating the text on both not be confusing?
The post is read first. So the post, as you type it, will go ahead first. It also really depends on how the person using a screen reader is navigating their tab button. So they're moving arrows up and down and around. But in theory, what it is that the post is read first, and as they move down, it says image, and then the screen reader user will select the option to read the alt text for the image. Okay, I think that was the last question. So I want to say thank you everyone for joining today. Please stay tuned for all these recordings and more information. Keep checking disabilityrightsfund.org/inclusion101 webinars. And again, I hope you can join next week when I talk about creating accessible and inclusive social media for people who are deafblind. I hope you have a wonderful day, evening, morning. Thank you.